Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. They have officially given up. Bud Light distributors have officially given up trying to recoup the lost sales that they got from the Dylan Mulvaney debacle. Now, again, the distributors are not at fault here. Woke corporate Bud Light were the ones who decided to make this decision to use Dylan Mulvaney and push this ad, and they're the reason why Bud Light is suffering like it is right now. It's not the distributors, it's not the wholesalers, it's not anybody on the ground floor, but apparently they have decided to finally give up. So the Bud Light distributors, according to the New York Post, is no longer expecting sales to recover from the Dylan Mulvaney disaster. This is pretty huge because at this point, as I've mentioned prior, when Bud Light fired everybody, if you guys missed my last video, go check it out about Bud Light firing hundreds and hundreds of people. They have decided that this is it. Like, this is their new normal, and they're going to have to figure out how to operate with this new normal. So now it's only going to be a matter of time before the distributors start firing people as well, because they have no choice. There's no way they're going to be able to upkeep their staff based on the lost amount of sales from Bud Light. It depends on how extreme they were relying on that money, because remember, Bud Light was the #1 beer for many, many, many years. So a lot of these distributors were probably relying on the money from Bud Light to keep afloat. But now that they're losing that money, it makes you wonder what's going to happen to them. So let's get into this article from the New York Post. And it says, many Anheuser-Busch distributors say they are resigned to their painful Bud Light losses and that they have given up on luring back disaffected customers following the Dylan Mulvaney fiasco, the Post has learned. After 4 months of hiring freezes and layoffs, with some beer truck drivers getting heckled and harassed, even as Bud Light sales have dropped by more than 25%, Anheuser-Busch wholesalers have accepted that they have lost a chunk of their customers for good and need to focus on a new crop of drinkers. Consumers have made a choice, said an executive at a Texas-based beer distributor who did not want to be identified. They have left Bud Light, and that's how it's going to be. I don't envision a big percentage of them coming back. And that's factual information. I mean, I've been saying this for a while now. I've been making videos on Bud Light for what feels like over a month now. And again, it's not shocking in the slightest. Bud Light has made their choice, and the consumers have made their choice. The consumers have said, we don't need you. There is so many other options out there that why am I going to deal with you telling me that I'm a terrible person? Why am I going to deal with you telling me that I'm fratty, that I'm getting old, that I'm a customer who's out of touch? Like, why am I going to deal with that? I could just move on to your competition and enjoy the same product, if not better, actually guaranteed to be better according to a lot of people. I can go enjoy a much better product, pay the same as I was, and keep it moving and ignore you completely. And that's exactly what happened. These corporations are not too big to fail, and they're starting to realize that now. They can't believe that they lost this much money. And they were saying for a while, they were saying for a long while, that it's going to go back to normal, that the money's going to come back, that the boycott doesn't last forever, yada, yada, yada. They were saying this for a long, long time. And now look at you. Months have gone by, and you're still at the same loss, 20 to 30%. That's your new loss average now, and you've been rocking that same number for a long time. And no matter how much virtue signaling you've done, no matter how much begging you have done, you have lost that number for good. So it says sales of other Anheuser-Busch beers, including Budweiser, Michelob Ultra, and Busch Light, have also been in decline since Bud Light's marketing tie-up with transgender grifter Mulvaney. What's more, those lost customers have likely found that Bud Light's competitors, including Coors Light and Miller Lite, are a very similar product. Winning the beer wars comes down to whoever is best at marketing, the executive said. Well, clearly, Alyssa Hernerscheid was not the best at marketing. There is an increasing feeling that this Bud Light decline rate could last for a while, and the distributors are worried about losing those drinkers to other similar brands. David Steinman, executive editor of Beer Marketers Insights, told the Post. And I mean, again, why shouldn't they be? Why shouldn't they be scared of losing these customers to other beer brands? At this point, they should know that they already have lost those customers to other beer brands. Like, you're not going to lose them temporarily. You've lost them permanently. And it looks like a lot of them just cannot admit this fact because I guess it hurts too much to admit it. But listen, your corporate overlords, they're the reason why you lost this, okay? It's not your fault. I get it. I feel bad. I really do. I feel bad for the distributors. I feel bad for the wholesalers. They're not the ones who made this choice. But listen, you work for a company, you sell for a company that did that. Like, your corporate overlords did that. So now you have to figure out what you're going to do from here. Whether it's you fire people and try to maintain your upkeep that way, or you decide to switch brands depending on the contract you have, whatever the case may be. I don't really know what happens with these distributors in terms of contracts with people like Anheuser-Busch, but at the end of the day, they have a choice to make. They need to figure out what they're going to do because the choice was essentially made for them by their corporate overlords. So it says there is a pair of social media posts by Mulvaney on April 1st holding a 16-ounce can of Bud Light with his image on it, and another of him sitting in a bubble bath surrounded by Bud Light cans sparked a backlash that has lasted longer than most anticipated. I don't know who anticipated that it was not going to last long. Okay, the only people who anticipated that it wasn't going to last long were the people who had skin in the game, right? Like the people who actually had money invested in Anheuser-Busch. They were desperately trying to tell everybody that this was not going to last forever, that this is not going to last long, that the boycott's going to come and go, that they're going to lose sales in the beginning, but then it's going to go back up to where it was because apparently people can't live without Bud Light. Well, they found out real quick that that is not the case. So it says the strategy of targeting younger, newer consumers is the right one. Michael Stone, chairman of Beanstalk Group, a New York-based branding firm, told the Post. But Anheuser-Busch made a mistake executing on the strategy. One silver lining for beleaguered Anheuser-Busch distributors is the rise of Modelo Especial, the #2 beer brand which Anheuser-Busch owns outside of the U.S. Rival Constellation brands distribute Modelo in the U.S., where it's been outselling Bud Light on a weekly basis since May. What's helping distributors is having Modelo in their portfolio, their beer executive said. But if you don't have Constellation, you are in a pickle. While Bud Light remains the #1 beer brand in the U.S., those days are likely numbered, with Modelo expected to overtake it by the end of August, experts say. Hasn't Modelo already overtook it? Like, the New York Post is trying to say Bud Light's still #1, but I'm pretty sure Modelo has already overtook it. Maybe not for the year. I know Modelo overtook it for the last few weeks, but they're probably trying to reference like the year overall. And I'm almost positive that Modelo Special is going to beat Bud Light by the end of the year, guaranteed for year-to-date sales. So it's a win-win, right? But like the article said, if the distributors do not have Constellation, which is the other company that distributes Modelo Especial and not Anheuser-Busch within the U.S., then if you don't have that, you're kind of screwed. Because if you're selling primarily Anheuser-Busch products, you're going to lose a lot of money. You already have. Like, I would imagine that is a lot of money that has been lost on the distributor side, let alone the actual company Anheuser-Busch. So they've made their choice, ladies and gentlemen. These distributors have to now make their own choices, apparently because one of them was made for them, and now they got to deal with the backlash and the afterfire, which again, I don't blame them. It's not necessarily their fault, but now that you know what your overlords did, now you got to figure out what you're going to do to only make it better for yourselves and figure out if it's worth selling Anheuser-Busch products in the long run. Again, all depending on contracts. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.